And we have to realize that we should think about the questions themselves and where they're emanating from, and perhaps the questions themselves are flawed. And I want to give you just one simple example that the right always uses, Islamophobes always use, and they make a very big deal of it. And that is, they say, for example, your prophet, astaghfirullah, was, and they use a very vulgar word, interested in young people. And I don't want to use the word out of respect for the Prophet, because the age of Aisha was young age. It was 9 years old in the Sahih Bukhari hadith. Okay, she was 9 years old according to Hadith of Bukhari. And so they use a very vulgar word. And I've had young men and women come to me, Muslims, and they say, how can we accept this? This is something that is vulgar. It's unethical. I can't believe that a prophet would do this. Now, this person, and this is a classic example, this question is emanating from a particular mind, coming from a particular culture, of a particular generation, and a particular time, and a particular place. The worst enemies of the Prophet ﷺ, who smeared him with everything imaginable, they couldn't even think of this as a flaw. Why? Because cultures vary, practices vary. And it's not just Islamic or Arab culture. The reality is, 500, 1,000 years ago, the world over, people were marrying at younger ages. Why? Because the lifespan was shorter and young kids became mature faster. A 9-year-old of 1,400 years ago is like a 16, 17-year-old intellectually and biologically of our times. So when we say 9, we are back projecting our 9-year-old of 2014, Detroit, imagining a 9-year-old girl, and then back projecting that into Medina and saying, oh, how could our Prophet marry somebody that's 9? See, this is a cultural bias. Go do the research. In some states to this day, I'm from one of them, Tennessee, you can marry people at the age of 14 or 15, right? It's not magical, the age of 18. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, the average age of getting married was in your teen.
First of all, no. 9-year-olds from that period are not biologically and intellectually the same as a 16-year-old now. And it's also wrong to marry a 16-year-old. And if it's true that there is a law in Tennessee that you can marry a 14 and 15-year-old, that's wrong. I don't think we should take our moral guidance from the people of Tennessee. No disrespect. As for this idea that we are speaking from a different culture, yes, we have improved. I'm saying they're wrong. I'm saying the culture back then and the practice of marrying children and sleeping with children is a wrong one. I'm saying we should progress and evolve and change, and perhaps not follow the scribblings of an illiterate warlord from the 8th century. I'm suggesting we inch forward to something a bit more progressive than that.
500 even more so. Romeo and Juliet. When Romeo and Juliet was written, do you know the age of Romeo and Juliet in the Shakespeare's play? Romeo and Juliet are supposed to be 14 and 13 years old. And that's why they had 14 and 13-year-old actors play Romeo and Juliet. Now in our times, if Romeo and Juliet were 14 and 13, they'd go to jail for pedophilia or something like this, right?
Wait a minute. You're now referencing Romeo and Juliet as if we're supposed to base our marriage laws from a fictional play written 500 years ago? I don't think so. And no, it's not pedophilia when a 13 and a 14-year-old have sex together. It's just a mistake. It's just a Friday night in Tennessee. That's nothing. That's not exactly what we're talking about here. We're talking about grown, disgusting, bearded men sleeping with small children. That's pedophilia. So no, we're not going to take Bill Shakespeare's advice, and I don't think the story of Romeo and Juliet was written as an instruction manual on when to get married. You fucking jackass.
You don't, but look, when Shakespeare's writing, and Shakespeare's only 500 years ago, Romeo and Juliet are supposed to be 14 and 13 because of his era. 14 and 13 is like our era, 18 and 17.
That is very scary and very insightful. Shakespeare's only 500 years ago. That's the mentality we're dealing with. These people are so deeply backward and entrenched in an ancient way of thinking that they view 500 years ago as a short time ago. Oh, it was only 500 years ago, folks.
If this is something 500 years ago, and subhanAllah, not even 500, again, go look back in this country, in the 1800s, early 1900s, the average age of marriage was early 20s to teens. In this country. And this is in America. In many other countries to this day, the age of marriage is still much younger.
Yes, we've been getting more and more sane as time has gone by, prolonging childhood and not necessitating that our women start pumping out babies as if we're on some animal cycle. This is good news. We should all rejoice in this. And also, there's a big difference between early 20s, late teens, and 9 and 6. Trust me, the judge explained this to me in depth the last time I was in court.
And I don't mind telling you this, my own grandmother, and she was born in British India, my own grandmother got married at the age of 14. She was 14 years old when she got married. And I remember talking to her as she's passed away, Allah yarhamha. I remember asking her and I was at the time 17, 18, so I couldn't imagine getting married at 14. And I said, how could you get married at 14? And she was like, son, beta, everybody got married at that age. All my friends, we all got married at that age. And this is 1920s British India. We're not talking about, 1,000 years ago.
And this is a mistake. This is not some good story that you've just told us. Your grandmother lived a horrible life of quiet misery. She was a sex slave. She had no say in the matter. And her response of everybody was doing it? Really? That's the best you're coming with? Dude, do I have to break out if your friends all jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge, are you going to do it? Oh, everybody's doing it. That's the argument? Okay, so when the feds come in and find all sorts of kiddie porn on my laptop, I'm going to be sure to tell them that everybody does it. You think I'm the only person visiting these sites? Come on. Let's see how well that goes over with the cops.
So for us to be so gung-ho, so passionate, how could our Prophet ﷺ have done that? SubhanAllah, who should we blame first? Our own intellect or the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ?
That's an easy question. Oh man, I'm going to ace this test. Hold on. Let's blame Muhammad. Let's blame these immoral barbarians from thousands of years ago. Yep, I'm pretty solid on that one. Yeah, that's my answer.
And of course, this leads us to the issue of how do we respond to these charges. And there are many Muslims, they just don't understand and they buckle under the pressure and they start, figuring out, well, Aisha was actually 18. Very convenient because 18 is the age of marriage here. I'm pretty sure 100 years from now when the age is raised to 1920, automatically Aisha's age will miraculously rise up to 1920. That's not the way to answer these questions. Aisha never complained. She was the happiest wife in the world. She loved the marriage of the Prophet. She loved the Prophet. She's not angry. She's not complaining.
Aisha is the happiest wife in the world? What? They just throw that on top? I'm calling massive bullshit on that. Yeah, Aisha was the happiest wife in the world, as told to us by Muhammad. Yeah, let's find Aisha's diary. Please, some archaeologists unearth the diary of Aisha, and I'm sure it's not going to read like some romance novel, please.
This is a 1,400-year-old culture. Now, nobody's saying we need to resurrect that in our times. And I don't have any problem as a faqih, as a theologian, as an imam to say, okay, in our age, a 9-year-old girl does not qualify to get married. We have to wait till she's older. No problem. Many ulama are saying that.
I love it. I love the way he phrases that. We have to wait till she gets older. So he's like, okay, look, I'll give a little bit to modern society. I'll wait. I'll suppress my desire to have sex with this child. I'll hold out until perhaps she bleeds. But once she bleeds, that's God's way of telling me she's ready. So don't you try to tell me I can't sleep with a 13-year-old. There are some things I will not stand for. If there's grass on the field, play ball. I've always lived by that, and it's never failed me.
But for us to feel this complex, and then we have young people coming up to us, how could Islam allow X? Why does the Quran say Y? Take a step back and ask yourself, why am I asking this question? Where is this question emanating from? Perhaps my own understanding should be questioned before questioning the Quran and Sunnah.
No, we're not going to work backwards like that. I'm not going to accept the Quran and the Sunnah, whatever the hell that is. No, I'm going to ask questions, really deep probing questions like, should I fuck 6 and 9-year-olds? And my instinctive revulsion to that is grounded in common sense, logic, and morality. A morality that I can defend, and I'm happy to declare as being superior to your hideous, backward, primitive morality. Now, having said all that, maybe it is time for me to rethink this, and maybe I need to take a second look at what 9-year-old girls look like. And when I say a second look, I mean a second sexual look. I need to start looking at young girls, perhaps for the first time, with a new set of eyes, a set of sexual eyes, and give it a chance. Because if it's good enough for Muhammad, it might be good enough for me. So let's investigate.
man, Money B.
Oh, mellow shot,
The freaks of the industry. And when you see us backstage, be prepared to G.
Well, they say that birds do it, bees do it.
Do it.
Time to freak, Money B gets to it. Not a heavyweight, but I go 12 rounds with a jab and a stick. I'm going lick for lick, so give me the helmet, I'll be the stunt man. Just relax, and I won't front like Anita. I'm giving you the best that I got, and I'll be taking it slow. Never missing a spot,
Yes.
Caressing your back with chest to chest, you're kissing on my freckles. I nibble around your ears before I suck upon your neck.
Oh, Money B.
Yeah, that's what you'll be screaming and creaming. But it's not a wet dream, it's the real, the freaky dog, Doc Nasty. Never letting the kitty cat get past me without picking it up, petting it, teasing it, taking it on home and pleasing it.
Cause we're the freaks of the industry. You's a freak, Money B.
Got that shot, G.
The freaks of the industry. And when you see us backstage, be prepared to G. Say you're G'ing.
G'ing?
Nobody else is seeing. And the freak that you're with is in front of you, bending over naked and she's leaning on the dresser.
Booyah.